For decades, the American university system has felt, well, kind of untouchable, right? But what if it's on the brink of a massive fundamental shakeup? Today, we're diving into a recent analysis that describes exactly that, something it calls the Great Reset of higher education. And this quote really sums up the old view, doesn't it? Universities as these fixed monuments, unchanging, super expensive, and honestly a little disconnected from the real world. But the whole idea we're digging into today is that this era is coming to a dramatic end, all because of a proposed radical shift in government policy. So, what exactly is this Great Reset? Look, we're not talking about small tweaks here and there. The source material describes it as a complete demolition and rebuilding of the relationship, the unwritten social contract, between universities and the federal government. Let's break down the three main pillars of how this would actually happen. Okay, first up, a brand new player enters the game. And its whole purpose is to completely upend the crazy cost of college. It's called the American Academy. And this chart shows you just how disruptive it's designed to be. Imagine this, a massive, national, fully online university that offers bachelor's degree equivalents for zero cost, absolutely free for the student. The goal? To force every other traditional university into a price war, basically compelling them to slash tuition just to compete. So the big question, right? How do you pay for a free national university? Well, this is where it gets really controversial. The plan laid out in the source is to fund it by raising billions of dollars through taxes, fines, and even lawsuits, all aimed directly at the gigantic endowments of the wealthiest private universities. Yeah, we're talking about places like Harvard, Yale, and Stanford. The second pillar of this reset isn't about building something new. It's about taking control of the existing system by going after the powerful groups that decide who's a real college and who isn't, the accreditors. So for about a century, a small number of private groups have held all the power here. They're the gatekeepers for federal student aid. This plan proposes a four-step teardown of that system. Step 1, fire the old accreditors. Step 2, appoint new ones. Step 3, completely change the rules, focusing on things like job skills and intellectual diversity. And here's the hammer. Step 4, universities have to play by these new rules or they get completely cut off from all federal student loans and grants. And here's where the rubber really meets the road on that last step. According to the source, the new directive would be crystal clear. Universities get a very stark choice. Get rid of your diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, or lose your accreditation, and all the federal money that goes with it. All right, the third and final piece of this reset is what's being called the Compact for Academic Excellence. And it's basically a take-it-or-leave-it deal put in front of every university. You sign on the dotted line, you get federal research grants. You refuse, you're cut off. Simple as that. And the price for signing this compact is steep. If a university wants that federal money, they have to agree to some major changes. They'd have to cap their international student numbers, put a 5-year freeze on tuition, change their core curriculum to focus on so-called American and Western values, and enforce specific policies on biological reality in everything from sports to dorms. Okay, so we've got the three big policy changes, but let's bring this down to earth. What does this all actually mean for the people living and working inside those university walls? Let's talk about the ripple effects for students, faculty, and the schools themselves. I mean, when you've got a free national competitor breathing down your neck and a whole new set of rules for getting funding, what does the day-to-day reality of college actually become? Well, the transformation is pretty stark. The whole debate over mass student loan forgiveness, that's gone, replaced with tiered repayment systems. College admissions, they shift away from that holistic approach to a much stricter merit-based model. And the very focus of education pivots away from the liberal arts and heavily towards job training and skilled trades. And you can see this shift reflected in the actual academic job market. The source points to data from a major job site, and wow, it shows postings for DEI roles have plummeted, while demand for professors who can teach skilled trades or AI in education has just skyrocketed. It's a direct reflection of these new priorities. Now, it probably won't surprise you that all these changes would create a whole new kind of tension on campus. The source describes it as a cultural tug of war. When you mandate that schools adopt American values, you turn every campus into a battleground over what exactly those values even are. It could lead to a way more divided and politically intense college experience. This quote from the source just perfectly captures the whole spirit of this reset. For so long, universities kind of ran on their prestige and reputation. Now, they're being forced to justify their existence and their price tag directly to the public. They have to prove they're worth the money because in this new world, the taxpayer is demanding a much, much better deal. So, we're left with this final thought. The source that outlines all of this calls it a long overdue renovation. But that really makes you wonder, right? Is this just a necessary update to an old, creaky system, or is it a complete demolition of the ivory tower, clearing the ground to build something else entirely? That's really the question at the very heart of this great reset.